Give them a second to get all connected here. If you are just joining us, I'm going to ask you guys to leave your cameras off. We are going to be recording this, so as soon as everybody joins, we will go ahead and get started. Looks like everybody has joined. So good evening, everyone. My name is Patty Spencer, and I am an admissions counselor at College for Creative Studies. Welcome to Financial Aid Night 2023. I'm going to introduce our Director of Financial Aid, Matt Cattenmees, and he is going to introduce the rest of his team. And we've got a lot of great info for you guys. Please keep your videos off as we are recording. And Matt will tell you too, but if you have questions as we go through, please feel free to put them in the chat. And we will be monitoring that as we go through. So Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Patty. As Patty said, my name is Matthew Cattenmees. I'm the director here for financial aid. I've been with the college for a little less than 5 years now. I think my 5-year anniversary is in July, so pretty darn close. And with us today, I have Maisha Bell, financial aid counselor. She handles students' last names A through K. And then Allison Molesworth, she handles students from L through Z. So like Patty said, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. My team will be reviewing the chat and will be answering questions as they come. And then towards the end, we'll have a question and answer, so you guys can go ahead and unmute yourself at that point and ask any questions. So without further ado, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about what is financial aid. We're going to discuss the cost of attendance, categories, types, and sources of financial aid. We're going to dive in a little bit about the FAFSA. We're going to talk about the expected family contribution, and then financial need. So the burning question, what is financial aid? Financial aid is any form of funding that helps pay for your post-secondary education that does not come from family or personal savings or earnings. It helps cover costs of tuition, mandatory fees, housing, meal plan, necessary books, and supplies. Common financial aid terms. So whether you're attending CCS or you're attending a community college, another college out of state, a local public university, these terms you're going to come across more so than often, and just make sure that you understand them, as you know, it's kind of part of the financial aid lingo, if you want to say. So cost of attendance, or COA, this is the school's estimated total yearly cost, so sticker price. This includes both billable and non-billable costs, so indirect or not or direct costs. The expected family contribution, so this will be the last year, 2023-24 will be the last year you're going to hear expected family contribution. That is now going to be referred to as the student aid index, and that will be reflective as of 2024-25. But the expected family contribution is determined by FAFSA. It's based on the data inputted on the FAFSA, and helps the schools determine your financial aid awards, so your need-based aid. Financial need, it's determined by subtracting the expected family contribution from the cost of attendance. This helps determine need-based aid. Grants and scholarships, it's often referred to as gift aid, and this aid is either need or merit-based and is funding that generally does not need to be repaid. Work study, on-campus student job opportunities that are federally or institutionally funded. And then student loans. These are funds that can be borrowed to assist with financial costs and does not need to be repaid. Students have the eligibility for federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And if you are considered a dependent status student, your parents have the option to apply for a direct plus loan. So how much will college cost? Well, that really depends on the college. Tuition and fees make up the bulk of college costs. You will need to factor in living expenses, whether you're living on and off campus or with your parents. And understanding your costs will help with budgeting for the semester and academic year. It'll give you an understanding of the overall cost of a 4-year degree. It'll allow you to cost compare amongst different schools. And it helps determine estimated out-of-pocket costs so students can leverage additional grants, scholarships, or loans if needed. So what is the cost of attendance? So again, the cost of attendance is the sticker price. So whether you're attending CCS, you'll have a sticker price. Whether you're attending Macomb Community College, you'll have a sticker price. So each school has a different cost of attendance. And the cost of attendance is made up of tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, and miscellaneous expenses. So you'll see tuition and fees and room and board in green. So those are your direct costs. These are your billable costs. So each school has a set rate of tuition and fees and then housing and meal plan. So these are what you can expect when attending a school. Now, the indirect or non-billable costs are your books and supplies, transportation, miscellaneous expenses, personal expenses. So these are costs that are built in to the cost of attendance at a degree because you're going to assume the cost at some degree, but it's generic across the board. So each student will have the same books and supplies, transportation, miscellaneous expenses built into the cost of attendance. So College for Creative Studies, the sticker price. So if you filled out the FAFSA application, you were accepted into CCS, you should have received a merit scholarship award from the admissions office along with your acceptance. And then if you filled out the FAFSA application, you should have received the comprehensive financial aid award offer, which details out any grant, scholarship, student loan eligibility. So at the very top, you'll be able to see of your award offer, our sticker price, so cost of attendance. So for on-campus or off-campus housing, our sticker price is $67,865. However, the top 5 lines are your direct billable costs. So all students are billed the tuition, the resource fee, registration fee, accident insurance, and tuition insurance. And then on the right, you'll see that the sticker price or the cost of attendance for students that indicate home or with parent is slightly less at $60,887. Now, these figures are before any grants, scholarships, or student loans are taken into consideration. So getting down to reality. So the sticker price, no one ever truly pays unless you don't do FAFSA application, you haven't been awarded merit scholarships, and you are assuming all of the indirect costs at the stated rates. So for on-campus students, the total cost that you could expect is $62,741. Now, our estimated average scholarship award is $25,874, and this includes all federal, state, and institutional grants. And this is on average, so not everybody may have this average scholarship. It may be more, it may be less, but this is a given average. So your estimated new balance or your estimated out-of-pocket before any loans are taken into consideration is around $36,867. Okay. Now the direct cost for off-campus students is slightly less because you're not paying for the room and board or the room and meal plan. And so your estimated out-of-pocket expense would be $25,827. So this brings the cost down quite significantly from your $67,000 mark and then your $60,000 cost of attendance sticker price. So just be mindful of that. So types of financial aid. So there's several types of financial aid. You have your self-help aid, which is your loans and work study. And the reason why it's called self-help aid is because you have to do something additional to actually receive that funding. And then you have gift aid, which is your grants and scholarships. So the sources of financial aid can come from federal government, your states, colleges and universities, private resources, and your employers. So scholarships do not need to be repaid. These are generally awarded based on merit, skill, or unique characteristic, and they are received from school or from private companies and organizations. So this would be like your merit scholarship at CCS. The CCS merit scholarships, applicants at CCS are automatically considered once they complete their admissions requirements. The awards are based on portfolio review and academic achievement. So your portfolio and either your high school GPA or your college GPA if you're a transfer student. And those are weighed 50-50. And in order to maintain your CCS merit scholarship, you are required to maintain a cumulative GPA of 2.5 or higher. Other CCS scholarships include the Scholastic Arts Scholarships. These are for high school students who win gold or silver medal on a national level. Gold medal recipients receive $2,000 a year for 4 years, so a total of $8,000. And then silver medal recipients receive $1,000 per year for 4 years for a total of $4,000. Grants. Grants usually do not need to be repaid as long as you are meeting the requirements and you don't withdraw or fail courses. They're awarded based on financial need, so that's where the FAFSA comes into play. They are received from schools, states, or federal programs. Grant programs include the Michigan Tuition Grant and Competitive Scholarship, federal Pell Grants, federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grants, the CCS tuition, that would be the CCS Institution Grant. We just changed the name on that, so that's why this hasn't been updated, but it's the CCS Institution Grant. And then other state, new state grant is the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. The next type of financial aid is the federal direct loans. So this is money students and parents borrow to help pay for college expenses. These are funds that do need to be repaid, and repayment usually begins after education is finished, as long as the student stays enrolled at least half time, which is 6 credits. Loans include the subsidized, unsubsidized, and the Parent Plus loan. You will see the subsidized and unsubsidized. The only difference between those loans is that the unsubsidized is interest bearing. So you're incurring interest as the loan disperses to the account. And then for the Parent Plus loan, if the parent applies for the Plus loan and is awarded, the current interest rate is at 7.54%. And then work study. This allows students to earn money to help pay for educational expenses. At CCS, it's employment on campus. You do not need to file a FAFSA to be eligible for an on-campus job at CCS. And it's encouraged that you look at the financial aid webpage and check out the job postings available. I will ask you to check periodically because jobs are posted periodically, and they are open for incoming freshmen, transfer students, and continuing students. And then for my international students or non-citizens, you are eligible for institutional financial aid. You are looked at for the CCS scholarship, so your portfolio and your GPA. You will receive an international student grant of $1,500, and you are also eligible to apply for work study positions. And then other financing sources. So you have private scholarships, private educational loans, college savings plans such as the Michigan Education Trust or 529 plans, employer tuition reimbursement. This is one of the biggest sources that is overlooked because not all parents or even students know that their employers offer tuition reimbursement. VA educational benefits. So if your family member was a veteran, you could see if they are eligible for any education benefits. And then at the very last or least, you have institutional payment plans. So here at CCS, we offer a 5-month payment plan. And the theory is that you'll have your fall balance paid in full before you take on your winter balance. So jumping into the FAFSA, why is it important to complete your annual FAFSA? Well, first, it's free and you're under no obligation to accept your financial aid offer. It helps determine all federal, state, and institutional aid eligibility. The initial time that you fill it out, the first time application, it can be time consuming, but don't get discouraged because it becomes easier moving forward. And it's not just for low income students or students that, don't think that they make enough money. So because CCS's cost of attendance is slightly higher than a community college or a public university, there are some aid eligibility that you would be eligible at for while attending CCS, where you may not be eligible for at a community college or public university. So I always encourage students to fill out the FAFSA application. And again, worst case scenario, you're eligible for loans and you're not required to accept your loans, but you may be leaving grant and scholarship money on the table by not filling it out. So the timeline for FAFSA completion. So the FAFSA must be filled out every year. So it's not a one and done. For the 2023-24 FAFSA, the date that it opened was October 1. So if you are attending fall 23, winter 24, summer 24, you would want to fill that out. You should complete the FAFSA for my Michigan students by May 1, because that's the hard cutoff for any Michigan grant and scholarship eligibility. This year, the upcoming 2024-25 FAFSA, it was supposed to open October 1. It is not opening until December at some point because it's going through a large overhaul. And the Department of Ed decided to sit on it until now. So they're running behind. So it's going to be a little later than normal that the FAFSA opens up. So as soon as we are able to get a definitive date, we are going to start emailing all students, including prospective students and all of that they should be filling out the FAFSA as of December at some point. So if it's your first time filling out the FAFSA application, you are required to set up an FSA ID and password. So this is your unique ID that allows you to get into the FAFSA application, to electronically sign it and submit it through. And it also gives you access to other Department of Ed websites. So there is a question in the chat. What is the average amount earned from work study? So generally speaking, work study wages are anywhere from minimum wage, which is $10.10 an hour, up to, and then we have $11, $12, and up to $13 an hour. Now, the average wage is based on, it's all based on availability, department need, and the department budget. So we do put on work study awards at $3,000, so roughly around $1,500 per semester. Some reach that, others exceed it, and some don't even come close. So you are able to work multiple positions. You are able to work a total of 20 hours a week max. So it depends on really how ambitious the student is. Now, I will say, incoming freshmen, I don't recommend working too many hours as you are beginning to get acclimated with your school, with your schedule, with your classes. I do know that at CCS they jump right into the core classes the first semester, so that sometimes is a shock to students, and they don't realize how much work is actually needed per class. But you can ease into it. So I hope that answers your question about work study. So free application for federal student aid. So it collects demographic and financial information. It's used to calculate the expected family contribution, or in 2024-25, the student aid index figure. Colleges use this to determine financial eligibility. It is available in English and Spanish, and it is completed online, which is preferably, or you can contact FAFSA hotline, complete it over the phone with them, or you can print out a paper app and mail it to them. So eligibility requirements for FAFSA: you must be enrolling in a degree granting program, so a bachelor's or master's degree at CCS. You must have earned a high school diploma or its equivalent, so GED. And then you must have U.S. citizenship, so U.S. citizens, permanent residents, residents of the freely associated states, or other not eligible non-citizens. So FAFSA information needed. So for the student demographics, you're going to need to know your name, your address, email address, citizenship status, marital status, high school completion status. And so that is all on the first page, and that should all match what was put on your FSA ID. So just be mindful that name, address, social security number, that should all match what your FAFSA FSA ID is. So after you put in the student demographics, you're going to be prompted for the school selection. So this is where you're going to be putting in the colleges that you want to attend. Hopefully CCS is number 1 and the only school on your FAFSA, but you can technically put up to 10 schools. And what that does is that sends out your FAFSA application to those selected schools, and then those selected schools will then review your FAFSA data and determine your financial aid offer. For those CCS students that are attending and have not filled out your FAFSA application, our CCS school code is 006771, so that's important to note. Or you can always select the state and the school name, and you'll be able to pull it up that way as well. So the dependencies questions, the student will be prompted with about 15 questions to determine dependency status. So the student may be living on his or her own, maybe making their own income, be self-supporting. However, if they cannot answer any of these dependency questions yes, then they are considered a dependent student in the Department of Ed's eyes, and parent information is required. So it's not how you determine your dependency status, it's how the Department of Ed determines your dependency status. So if you are considered a dependent student, you're going to have to enter in parent demographics. Now, I kid you not, this is probably the hardest question that parents have to answer on the FAFSA application, and it's a parent marital status. So I don't know why it's tricky. I don't know why students and parents often get this wrong, but it's at the time that you are filling out the FAFSA application, it is asking what your marital status is. So if you're not married, you're going to put never married. If you're married or remarried, then you're going to add that. Divorced, separated, or widowed, you're going to indicate that. But it's specifically as of the date that you are filling out the FAFSA application. So if parents are getting divorced, they are not living in a household, but they're not legally divorced yet, they're still going to put divorced or separated, and then you're going to put that, when the other person moved out of the house or when the divorce was submitted to the courts. So just be mindful that it's asking as of the day that you are filling it out. So once the parent demographics are inputted, it's going to ask for the parent tax information. So if you are attending the fall 2023, winter 2024, summer 2024, you're filling out the 2023-24 FAFSA application, you are going to be using your 2021 tax return. So federal tax return. So just be mindful of that. The easiest and quickest way to transfer your information to the FAFSA and to make sure that it's accurate is using the IRS data retrieval tool. And what that does is that links your federal tax information from the IRS website directly to FAFSA, and it inputs all of the tax figures except your wages. So it lessens the chance of being selected for verification, and it also eliminates inconsistencies and wrong data. Once the parent tax information is inputted, you are going to be prompted to add student tax information. So again, using your 2021 tax information, and again, using the data retrieval tool to lessen the inconsistencies or wrong data, or lessens the chance of being selected for verification. So once all of that is completed, all the parent demographic tax information is inputted, student tax information is inputted, you'll be asked to review the FAFSA application, and then as long as you have a approved FSA ID, you and your parent will be able to electronically sign and submit to the FSA, and then they will send that to the schools for review. So special circumstances. So if there is a special circumstance, a anomaly that is not being accurately portrayed on the FAFSA application. So what job loss, or their position was eliminated and they had to take another position, which now they're making less, death in the family, divorce, things like that. You will want to contact the financial aid office and discuss that situation, so we can then move forward and request additional documentation so that we can review the FAFSA data to see if any adjustments can be made to reflect a more accurate financial picture. Okay. So what to expect after the FAFSA submission. So if you have a valid email address, it's provided on the FAFSA, you will receive a SAR, or student aid report. And this is basically the question by question, line by line, answer by answer of all of your tax information, or of all the information that was inputted on the FAFSA application. So your student demographics, your tax filing status, the schools that you submitted your FAFSA to, parent demographics, parent tax information, and all of that. So processing steps and timeline. So once a student submits the FAFSA application, it's sent to the Central Processing Center. So this takes anywhere from 3 to 5 business days for CPS to look at it. And then CPS sends that to the school for review and awarding. So in theory, the school should be receiving your FAFSA after successfully submitting it electronically within 7 to 10 days. So it's a pretty quick turnaround time. So we talked a little bit about the expected family contribution number. And again, I caution you because this is all changing for next year. So the expected family contribution, or the EFC, that's the measurement of a student and family's ability to pay for post-secondary education expenses. It takes into consideration the student contribution and the parent contribution for dependent students. And the EFC helps determine need-based financial aid eligibility. So your grants and scholarships that are need-based, your need-based loans, which is your subsidized loans. So things like that. And how the school determines financial need is we take the cost of attendance minus the EFC, and that equals financial need. So with that, I have successfully concluded the presentation about financial aid. Please feel free to unmute yourself, ask any questions. Technically, you have us for another hour or so. So, you know, our jobs are to make sure that you fully understand financial aid, the expectations, and all of that. If you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat, please do that as well, and be happy to answer them.
Matt,
Yes.
I wanted to go back to the parent married status. When
Yes.
they're asking about the marital status of the parents, they're not necessarily talking about your biological parents. So if your biological parents are not married, they're not asking about that. If your biological parents are not married, but you live with your mom and she is married, then you need to put married or remarried and then put your mom and your stepdad's information in the FAFSA.
Yes, that is a good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Maisha. Any questions?
Hello, I have a
Yes.
question.
Mhm.
Okay, so what should I do if my parent is disabled and they do not file taxes?
So if they are not required to file taxes based on IRS regulation, then you would indicate on the FAFSA that they are not required to file taxes. So they did not file and they were not required to. And then you'll put 0 earned income.
What are other options to Parent Plus loans?
So you have private educational loans, which are in the student's name. Those are generally credit-based. So if the student is not deemed credit worthy by the student loan servicer or has an established credit, then that student would need to secure a credit-worthy cosigner. You can also seek out private grants and scholarships to offset some of that cost. You can look into work study, or you can, if you are a local student, there is the option to do what's called a combined degree program, where you would be taking your core classes at CCS using your financial aid eligibility at CCS. And then you would be attending a local community college, taking your general ed and liberal arts courses and transferring these over. So that still allows you to attend CCS and stay on your degree track and still graduate within that 4 to 4.5 year timeline. Now, the only caveat to that is that at the community college, you would be considered a guest student, so you would not be eligible for financial aid. So you would be paying the community college rate for those liberal arts or gen ed courses.
For students then that have taken AP classes and have gotten some of their gen ed courses out of the way, does that lower the cost of college, or is it just saving time?
Well, it does both, realistically. So if you're transferring in credits based on your AP scores or getting credit for courses based on AP scores, then that will generally reduce your enrollment your senior year. So there would be some cost savings then. It's not an immediate impact. But in your senior year, then though you would have a reduced schedule, which then reduced costs, and you would be able to then focus more on your portfolio development, maybe an internship, and things like that. Any other questions?
My question is, couldn't AP class, like if it's an AP art class and you get like a good score on your portfolio, could that improve a scholarship or anything?
No, no, because your CCS merit scholarship is based on your original application into the college. So your original portfolio and then your high school GPA.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Good question. These are all good questions. I appreciate it.
But I missed the answer.
Did you take a picture?
I'm probably to see if they did a
Any other questions? Remember, there's no dumb question when it comes to financial aid. I know, when I was first filling out FAFSA, I was more like a deer in the headlights when I was a student. And then as the years passed, I got better at it. And then I fell into financial aid. So now I'm able to help you guys troubleshoot and navigate the FAFSA application of financial aid and make sure that we are making aware of all eligible opportunities to reduce the cost. So there is a question from Patrice regarding financial aid packages. So not all schools are on the same timeline. Some schools wait super late into the winter semester to notify students. We try to notify students of their financial aid award offers late January. That will be delayed if you are starting school in fall 2024. We are hoping to get those financial aid offers out end of February, early March. But that should be pretty standard at that point because the FAFSA and all of that.
And as a follow-up to that same question, is there a time frame by which you need to acknowledge if you're accepting or declining?
So May 1 is the general timeline. Now, of course, if you're still waiting on financial aid offers or you haven't quite made up your mind, it's not a hard date. So we have pretty much a rolling, admission date. So if you're not sure by May, you want to wait till June to make your decision, you're more than welcome to do that. I will say the later you wait, the more likely that students are going to start registering for classes and that classes are going to start filling up. So the student might not get a desirable schedule. But as long as they are accepted, they don't have any worries of, holding off on paying that enrollment deposit to secure their spot.
And the offer for the financial aid that was given to the student, that doesn't technically have an expiration date then?
The expiration date is the start of fall semester. So if the student doesn't start in the fall, then it is subject to change. So the merit scholarship or financial aid offer, if they were granted any additional CCS funding, that is subject to change if the student does not attend in the fall.
I have another question.
Yeah.
When is tuition due?
Tuition is due August 1st or 3rd. So it's generally due the month before classes start.
Okay.
Okay, so you either have to have your balance paid in full, all of your eligible financial aid accepted, and for it to be enough to cover your balance, or be set up on a payment plan.
Okay.
Okay.
Does the portfolio have to be turned in at the time of application? Is that the idea?
Patty, if you could answer that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, do you want me to jump in here? For a undergrad application, we need the application form, the high school transcripts, and a portfolio. They don't all have to come in at the same time, but we can't make a decision on admissions until everything is received. So, once we get everything in, the application is reviewed, and generally the student will have a decision within 2 weeks. So it doesn't technically have to come in at exactly the same time, but like I said, we can't actually review it for an admissions decision until we do receive everything.
Can I jump in real quick? This is Allison. Sorry.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, for the private loan question, I'm sorry, somebody had a question about private loans. Private loans are through banks or credit unions. They are credit-based loans and primarily in the student's name. So if you're considering a private loan option, you would probably have to have a co-signer, whether it be a parent or other family member or a family friend, to be approved based on that person's credit history.
I have a question.
Yes.
We came late to the seminar. Where do you get the financial aid packages for college? My son's already been admitted, but we need to just start on the financial aid package.
So did your student fill out the FAFSA application?
Yes, and
Okay.
submitted his transcripts and the portfolio.
So what I would recommend is that you email the FinAid email that you see on the screen with your student's name and date of birth. And then when we're in the office tomorrow, we can have his financial aid counselor look into his account and then respond to you and let you know where you're at in the process, or if a financial aid offer has already been mailed to your house.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? These are really good questions. And I'm sure if you're thinking of it, somebody else is too. So don't be afraid to ask.
So a follow-up to that question that was just asked, the financial aid award is only sent by mail, not electronically.
Correct. So the incoming freshmen, they are sent via mail. Now, of course, if you need a new copy or you haven't received it, we can certainly reprint it and send it electronically to the student so that they can review it. So if you haven't received your financial aid offer, again, I would encourage you to email the FinAid email with the student's name and date of birth, and then financial aid counselor can reach out to you tomorrow with where that is at. And if you're requesting an electronic copy of that, we can certainly do that as well. Any other questions? So Kylie was asking if we need help filling out the FAFSA next fall, who do we contact? you contact us. We are technically the financial aid and the FAFSA gurus, so we can help navigate the FAFSA, help you kind of get your feet wet and get you on your way. If you do require, more hands-on approach, we can also do that via Zoom, or if you want to come into the office. But I would encourage you that if you're coming into the office, to reach out to us before, so we can make sure that you come prepared with all of the required documents in order to fill out that FAFSA application. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. So as Patty mentioned earlier at the beginning of the presentation, this presentation is being recorded. Patty, where will it be available, or will it be emailed to students after?
We don't usually email it to the student participants, but it will be posted on the CCS YouTube page. It should be up tomorrow, I would say by noon. So that is a very good reference. There are a number of other great videos on our YouTube page, information on housing, on student life, all different aspects at the college. If you have not applied yet and you're looking for next year, there's great information there as well. So like I said, this is being recorded. It will be posted on the CCS YouTube page, hopefully by noon tomorrow.
Would you be able to drop that link into the chat for?
Yes. Yep. Give me just a second and I will put it in there.
While Patty is doing that, dropping that link into the chat, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today, listening to me, educate you guys, hopefully, on some financial aid. You come out with some good information and a better understanding of financial aid, so it's not so grueling or, fearful. We are here, whether you attend CCS or not. We can answer any of your questions regarding the FAFSA application, financial aid offer, CCS costs, opportunities to reduce those costs. So, if you guys think of any questions tonight, tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, you have our email address, you have our contact information. I encourage you guys to reach out so that, you feel comfortable about the process and all of that. So it looks like Patty put the YouTube page in the chat. So we'll wait about another minute, let everybody get that link for you.
And is there any last questions too? You guys have really asked a lot of really good ones.
If you have any admissions questions, you got Patty here. Talk your ear off. Don't see any more questions coming in the chat. I don't see anybody else unmuting. So Patty, if you want to.
All right. I think we will wrap everything up then. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you learned a lot. Again, ask great questions. This will be posted. And like Matt said, they are very responsive. If you have questions about financial aid, reach out to them. If you have questions about admissions, you can always reach out to our office. So let us know how we can help. I hope you all have a great evening. Again, thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
Bye.